And we are live.
Hello, Hebrews and Shebrews. Good evening. Mansoor, you're muted, but I'm gonna take it. Meanwhile, we're going live for an emergency broadcast due to what's happening with the Kurds in east north of Syria. The basically the occupation of Jolani's army. I'm not gonna call it army, but it's a militias of
Al
of
Qaeda.
Za.
It's Al Qaeda. It's Al
It's Al
Qaeda.
Qaeda.
And
And
by the
now
way,
after,
you said emergency. I even brought my emergency lights here. See, guys, we have
all
emergency
right,
broadcast. Emergency broadcast. And Khalifa, I'm sorry to cut in, but you know what, guys? Any American who is watching this episode, take note of these faces. Right now, El Jolani's forces in Syria, Al Qaeda and ISIS, are not only massacring the Kurds, but they are releasing ISIS prisoners, men and women, and some of them have foreign passports. Many of them, actually, mostly the women, because there was a flock of women that went into the Islamic nation when ISIS started, basically to be baby incubators for them, just to bring babies for them, like full on, we believe, from Canada, from the US, from the UK, quite a lot. And now they're all being released. So here are the faces, just a second. Take names, guys. You might see them in the streets of New York. I'm not joking. These were ISIS, Khalifa, these were the ISIS guys that America and the Kurds worked to put them in prison.
yeah, well, and the Americans aren't so far from Shaddad prison, basically, so they could intervene, but they chose not to.
Hmm.
It's not a coincidence. It's a deal that been um, made basically with the parts. There's Turks, there are Americans. I don't know if you heard, but just in like the Julani forces actually occupied now the places where all the oil and gas of Syria is basically in, and the Jolani's government terminated the old contract of producing oil in the Rojava area from Shell, the Dutch company, and they are signing new contract with ExxonMobil and Chevron, American companies, and that tells the whole story. Basically, you have Tom Barak's finger prints all over it. It's a business deal that been made on actual lives of Kurds, and that's disgusting, I must say.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's very concerning, and I think it's being hid from the American people. And guys, watch this for a second. You see, this guy here, that's the military. That is the official military of Syria that is releasing back the ISIS soldiers that were arrested by the Americans and by the Kurds, because the Kurds, up until not long ago, were the allies of America in that area. And now America basically changed sides and is becoming allied with Al Qaeda and ISIS. No doubt about it. Here, the next video actually shows you without no doubt here what the soldiers are saying that was their main goal into why they went and conquered the Kurdish areas. Hear it from the soldiers. First thing they did, what? Open the prisons of ISIS. So that was the first thing they did, is to go and release their ISIS brothers. So the government of Syria went and first thing. And now this video they will try to show you and tell you, look at that, so many innocent women. You need to understand, these women here are ISIS women. And ISIS women, just like I said before, it's women from all over the globe that went into Syria when the Islamic State was conquering the country there. Many of them from the UK, from the US, from Canada, and from other places. And so they have foreign passports and went with the sole purpose to marry ISIS fighters. And they basically got radicalized. That's them running out of jails. That's them right now. You see, they're all going out. And they went, and that's also that either them or that's the Kurds who are fleeing
No,
that
no,
area.
that's it. That's the ISIS
That's the ISIS
families.
women. That's the ISIS families. Exactly. So they believed when they converted to Islam that their way to support the Islamic nation is either the jihad of force. Now, either go and fight like these guys, or go and marry a fighter and be his servants as per the Quran, make food for him, give him his needs, and bring him as many babies, all the way up to like some of them brought 9 children per family, and the kids were being trained to become ISIS soldiers. So you have heavily indoctrinated kids from a young age. We'll show you the kids later on, how they already from a young age want to kill Americans, want to kill, Christians and journalists and Kurds and Druze and etc. So that is what is happening, and for a bizarre reason, this is being kept away from the American citizens, from the Europeans. And let me tell you guys, now that they're normalizing relationship with Syria, don't think that they will not reach to you. So a lot of these people that you see here might be in your streets right now in Berlin, in London for sure. That's like going home for them. In New York, which is becoming the new home for a lot of these radicals, in Michigan, and even in Texas and other places that are not easily taken by Islam yet. What is going on? Khalifa,
Well,
what's going on?
well, few things. If you can put the map back, the Syrian map, it's gonna be useful. But I'm gonna say that the Americans betrayed the Kurds, and that's not the first time. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, and that's big time for the Kurds. And the Kurds aren't a small minority. And now I must say, we are discussing the yellow area that you see in the upper right side. This used to be under the control of the SDF, which is the army of the Kurds, basically, and they are different from the Kurds in Iraq, in the other side of the border. They still have connection, but that's a different political party, I must say.
Mhm.
And the interesting thing, the desert area of Deir ez-Zor and up north, you have Al-Raqqa. Al-Raqqa used to be the capital of ISIS. And it's worth mentioning that ISIS means in Arabic, Daesh, Dawlat al-Iraq wa Sham, means Islamic State of Syria and
Iraq.
Iraq. So Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the leader of Daesh that we all know, he was the principal. He was the Khalif in Iraq, and he sent Jolani to be the emir of Syria. And now, after releasing all those ISIS people, it's official. It's official. We can announce that Syria is an ISIS state. It is the it is the Islamic State that
Yeah.
Jolani sent to do. And I must say another thing, which is also very important, that the Kurds basically their main habitat is up north. They are not separate in all the yellow zones or areas that we see here. They needed to do that because they were the only people who fought and against and actually kicked out the ISIS people. This is why they have prisons with a lot of ISIS members, because they were the only people who actually fought and won against the ISIS forces. And the same villages, the Bedouin villages, again, there's another pattern. that when the Kurds came and freed the country from ISIS, they welcomed them, and we had women throwing up the hijab and saying, "Yeah, we got our freedom back." And now the same people were welcoming the ISIS forces of Jolani and betraying the Kurds yet again, which is, it's heartbreaking.
I wanna add. Actually, I want to come back to what you said in the beginning, guys. ISIS started as the vision of how Islam should look like. They went back Salafi wise into the Quran, and they nominated al-Baghdadi as the Khalifa, which in the Arabic, that's like the supreme leader of Islam, the one that took the leadership after the Prophet passed away. So when he died, the one that is leading all of Islam is the Khalif. And he can appoint amirs, prince kind of, or several princes that can go and rule and govern on his behalf. So he appointed Jolani to be the one to go and rule over Syria. They wanted to start in Iraq and Syria and then expand to the rest of the world. Jolani is fulfilling his job. He took over Syria. And not only that, he is now working on expanding, releasing his ISIS brothers and expanding them into the world just like the original plan. And he's probably laughing his tusik off because he found like, wow, it was easier than I thought. All I need to do is put a suit. And America invited me to the White House. Now think about this. In New York City lately, they just had, the Islamic call for prayer sounded all over the city. So if you look at it from their side, Al-Qaeda side, Islam side, Baghdadi and Jolani, they won. They've conquered New York. In 9/11, they've conquered New York. They went and dropped the towers, killed dozens of Americans, brought themselves on the map, and here we go. Now one of theirs is the mayor of New York, and they have the imam singing Muslim conquest prayers to Islam. Thank you, Zaim. Exactly, Zaim knows Islam very well. Trust me, I know the guy. He knows what he's talking about. I've met him a few times. I've talked to him. The guy knows inside out about their religion. So, on everything that Jolani is doing was the idea of ISIS from the beginning, and now they've literally just released thousands of ISIS members, fighters with foreign passports back into Syria. Now watch this video, Khalifa, and then we can talk about it. Watch this, guys. Watch this video.
ما دخل من المهاجرين عشرات الآلاف من الناس ما نزلوا من الفضاء بسفينة الفضائية كلهم عبروا عبر تركيا ومن المحال استخبارات التركية وهو من أقوى.
Have you seen there's a pattern here, guys? There is countries now that are playing America. Saudi Arabia and Turkey and Syria are playing America.
Aydin, a Turkish national, was a high-ranking ISIS commander. He had face-to-face meetings with ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and became a close confidant of al-Baghdadi's second-in-command, Abu Muhammad al-Adnani. Before he joined ISIS, Aydin was a prominent cleric in an al-Qaeda-linked group in Turkey. He gained a pretty large following, which put him on the radar of Turkish authorities. Even now, after years in prison, Aydin has a decent following, and his fans still upload videos of his sermons on topics like when it's okay to kill an infidel.
Ondan sonra mürtet olanı öldürdüğü zaman o güzel deyip alkışlıyorsun da.
تنظيم فعال في كل العالم وخاصة إذا تفكرون وجود اللاجئين في
Listen to this. Listen to this.
فإن الاختفاء عناصر الدولة الإسلامية راح يتسهل أكثر
Wow! Can we repeat that last part, guys?
من الفعال في كل العالم وخاصة إذا تفكرون وجود
Million of refugees from Syria and Iraq
من العراق وسوريا بالملايين
in
فإن
millions.
الاختفاء عناصر الدولة الإسلامية راح يتسهل.
And he's saying in Arabic, he's saying the disappearing or the hiding of the Islamic nation, ISIS and Al-Qaeda among them, is going to be impossible for the West to identify. So can you see the pattern here? I didn't start, this is not a clickbait. This is not just, a gotcha hook moment, guys. We're serious. Syrian is the most, that was a plan from the beginning. Syria is considered the biggest humanitarian crisis on the planet almost, and it's actually the country with the highest number of migration in the world. After it is Venezuela. Why do you think someone brought Syria to such catastrophic events and helped spread all of the people of this country all across the world? What was the plan there? Do you think that just happened by chance, or was that planned? There was a serious plan there to destabilize this country and then have all of its ISIS members just go and spread all around. And right now they are in Europe. Right now they are as sleeping cells in the US. I'm not saying that to scare you guys. This is coming from US intelligence reports by the CIA and other official government authorities in the US saying that they probably have thousands of sleeping cells in America. And now on top of that, all of a sudden, America left the Kurds and joined to help ISIS release more ISIS prisoners from jail. Why is this happening? That is the real question that need to be asked here. I am not so sure why is it happening. Khalifa mentioned here the oil. Could it be that just because of greed and the need to hold some oil reserves in Syria, America is willing to risk letting more ISIS enter America and Europe, basically? It's crazy, man. Tom Barak? Could it be this guy?
Yeah, well, that's not only the oil, you know. Things are complex, I might say, and Tom Barak is leaning way too much to the Turkish side on top of the Israeli powers, because what we are seeing now is basically a proxy war between Israel and Turkey. Other than what Giuliani did, we must say that also the Turks attacked and occupied the northern parts of the areas that the Kurds used to be in. So you have the Bedouins, the Americans, and the Turks all fighting against the Kurds, and maybe this explains why there are 70 million Kurds in the world, but that living in large areas. We're talking here about Iran, Iraq, Syria, uh, even Turkey. 20% of the population of Turkey are Kurds, but still they can't have any independence, and it's a shame to be honest. And I don't think it's only the oil, but it must involve Tom Barak because he's mastering the whole show and doing it
Yeah,
uh,
I think
in cynical way. Yeah,
I
sorry.
think President Trump is being played by his own advisors regarding the Middle East, and I think he doesn't fully understand the mud that he's entering, because this will be remembered as one of the biggest betrayals of our time in the Middle East. The betrayal over the Kurds, the betrayal over the Christians and the Druze in Syria, and the joining of ISIS and Al Qaeda by the American government. This literally will be remembered as one of the worst betrayals and I tell you why it will be remembered as a betrayal, because it's not just something that happened now and tomorrow we're going to jump to something else. People don't understand how big this is. This is going to have effects now for years to come. You're going to start having now and then terrible, catastrophic jihadist events happening in your countries, and they will be linked to this moment. And when 1, 2, 3, 4, and blood will be everywhere, American blood, European blood, Christian blood, Jewish blood, Muslim blood, then you will start people saying like, what, how did we let this happen? And then we'll go, oh, that was when America went and basically stopped supporting their allies and helped Al Qaeda and ISIS release prisoners from ISIS jails. Now, let's look for a second at an announcement from Lindsey Graham. He actually made a very interesting announcement. Where is it? Here. So I know I read it yesterday. I'm going to read it again. Lindsey Graham wrote this: if Syrian government forces continue to advance in the north towards Raqqa, I will push for reimposing the Caesar Act sanction on steroids. It seems to be like there's someone, at least in the American government, that understands what's happening, and that's Mr. Graham. Apparently, no one in Syria is listening to me or other US government officials. If this continues, not only will there be bone-crushing sanctions, it will permanently damage relationship between the US and the new Syrian government. What new Syrian government are you talking about? We're talking about ISIS. If you think we'll BSing around, keep it up. I've tried to be fair to the new government, but apparently it is falling on deaf ears. Not deaf ears. They know exactly what they're doing, guys. They're playing you, and I think they have a bigger plan, actually. I think there's a homeland security, betrayal coming towards you, America, and maybe that's another episode, but there's a big things happening. If you want the conflict with the US Senate and to do permanent damage to the US and Syria relationship, keep going. If you want to salvage the relationship, stop and turn around. I hope you choose wisely. Turn around what? Like, they already released the prisoners. They already massacred the Kurds and killed them, like, in the thousands.
Yeah, and when he published it, Raqqa was already occupied. But I would say, because first of all, it is connected to the Druze. Now the Druze are terrified if there's another massacre coming towards Sweda, because the jihadist, the more blood they smell, the more appetite they develop. That's first thing. So we are very concerned about what's gonna happen with the Druze. And there's another point that slipped my mind. I'm gonna remember it again, but I wanted to say something. If I catch it, I'm gonna say it, but it slipped my mind for a second.
Try to remember it. I'm gonna read for now what Mr. Kamalos 5447 said here. Thank you so much, brother. Trump betrayed the Kurds again. He did it so in Afrin and in Rojava in 2019. He outstructed Syria's policy to Erdogan. He had Bibi sign an agreement with Olani that restricted the IDF airstrike. Turkey and Qatar are on the Gaza peace board. Yeah, that is crazy. I think hopefully Israel will not fall for this nonsense to allow Turkey and Qatar to, that would be catastrophe. Them to run the show in Gaza, that will be a catastrophe. Now watch this.
Okay,
yes.
now I remembered that there's a pattern, because we are now more, we should be more knowledgeable. There was a massacre against the Alawites, and the pattern was that there are some, militias, they come, they do some shenanigans, they disrupt the order, and then the official forces come to put some order, law and order, but they participate in the looting, in the kidnapping, in the raping, the whole thing. So they did it with the Alawites, they did it with the Druze, and on last March, the Kurds had an agreement with the Syrian government that now, with no reason whatsoever, they started occupying the Kurds. They started in Halab, the Kurdish neighborhoods, and they just continued all the way to Rojava, although they have an agreement with Mazloum Abdi, the leader of the SDF. So they betray them like nothing. Very bad news for the Druze. This is what I'm trying to say.
Very bad news for every minority in Syria right now. The Druze, the Christians, the Alawites, the Yazidis, and the Kurds. Now, watch what are they boasting about. This is for all the feminists out there. This next piece is a must for you to watch. Before you support the Syrians and their army. So the Kurds are a very proud nation that empower women. Like, their women are among the biggest bad Tusiks out there. They're fighters. They know how to fight jihadists. They know how to preserve their dignity and right. First thing these guys go is boast around how they take a statue of a woman down. And then they're excited. Of course, Allahu Akbar. The next video is going to be crazy because you're going to hear a statement. What do you think about it? Look at these guys. Now, some of them are in Europe already. Some of them are in the US. Now the next video. I did the translation real quick, like right before the show. I added the translation. Was it accurate, Khalifa, what I did there?
It was like, you know, the premise is they are very excited of having free women with no laws doing whatever they want with them. This is how they conceive women. This is how a woman looks like for them.
So
It's a thing to. It's like a
boast.
belonging.
Yeah,
Something
and
to
it's
own
a
it.
thing to boast about, to make a video about. He's saying, look what the Kurds are doing. They're like, he's showing like papers where the Kurds had laws to defend the honor of women and the right of women. And the first thing he does, he laughs at it and he rips it, probably after he killed everybody in this office. And now he's standing and saying, no, women's right is Islam. And he rips the modern, call it liberal paper that gave some rights for women. And he says women's right is Islam. To all the feminists out there that voted for Mamdani or that are going around right now and cheering for Palestine, watch this again. This is, guys, what is happening in the Muslim world, specifically in Gaza and in Palestine and in Syria and places like that. Watch it. This is women's right among the Kurds. But our women's right is Islam. We have women right, and he rips it. You see, guys? Now, this is a journalist that got treated by children. I told you we're going to tell you how the children of ISIS, the one that released now from jail, the mothers and their children, their families. So look how they're chasing a journalist, throwing rocks on her face because she's a woman. She got hit in her face. And the next video is something that I showed you also yesterday, but I'm going to show you again. That's a few government soldiers from Syria or citizens, there's no difference, who kidnapped Kurdish women and are giving them as a gift to their uncle and making a video about it. That's how proud they are from taking women as objects. Say hi to your uncle, the one that is going to be basically have them as Sabiya. Sabiya in Arabic is like a term. You want to explain Sabiya, guys? To Khalifa, you want to explain to the people so they understand what is the terminology here?
Yeah, but basically, just to the video, just a note about the video that he says, say hello to your uncle Abu Mujahid, the father of the Mujahid. Okay, so he's you could tell who's gonna have those two poor girls. And for me as an Israeli, I can't, sympathize with those two poor women. It's a reminder, like October 7 and the massacre with the Jews. For me, seeing this image was heartbreaking, I must say. And Sabiya, not to be confused with Sabiya. Sabiya is a girl, a young lady, but Sabiya with an softer S, that means like a woman that you can take by an act of war. It is yours for you to have and to convert to Islam, basically, and have offsprings from her as Muslims. And this is what called, a form of jihad, you might call it. By the way, another, like the same concept of jihad in nikah, they call it, of producing more jihadists. A lot of the women that you showed up earlier with fleeing from the ISIS prisons, they came from all around the world because the sheikhs told them that they should go and do a jihad and it's basically to have children with a jihadist. This is how what they do basically.
Exactly. And for those who don't understand, that was a command that was meant first to help keep the morale of the soldiers up so they can join Muhammad's army, because he promised them women and money and power, which is very attractive to a lot of especially misogynist, barbaric tribes. That's what they want. They want a lot of power, and they want free women, and they want lots of money to take away from the bodies and the plunder of the enemies that they slain. And second of all, there is a religious expansion here that helps the religion to expand. You go into a place, you kill all the men, you kill all the young adults that have puberty hair. So you take their pants, you look down, if they have puberty, you kill them. And then the ones that don't have, you can basically make them as slaves and brainwash them, and later on make them as, child soldier for you. And their women, you take as means to keep producing and bringing more soldiers into that religion. Now, here's something I want to throw to people who don't understand. Why do you think there's a lot of civilian casualties when it comes to wars against Islam? So Delta Force, raids Venezuela. There's almost no civilian casualties, and they take the, president of the country, who's a drug lord, and they, do it clean. If Delta Force would have entered Syria or Gaza, most likely Delta Force would have been dead, because Syria and Gaza is a hardcore PvP server. The United States and South America is a medium level difficulty. Second of all, if they will survive, it will be with a lot of civilian casualties. And why is that? Because in Islam, especially these radical Salafi countries, there's no difference between the fighter in uniform to the civilian citizen and the child. They're all considered part of the Muslim army. They're all been trained and bred from a young age to see there's a jihad. And that's why it starts from a young age, and they see themselves already as soldiers of this country. So even a civilian will try to go and harm you and fight, because in his eyes, he's just a soldier. He just doesn't have the uniform, but he's in the same army of Islam. Watch this. This is military preaching. You're teaching about the enemy? Slaughter him. He's eating children. Children! Slaughter him. So the kids already are learning to be fighters in mentality. And then you have gullible American soldiers standing among these guys in Syria. What do you think, guys? Last time they blew up themselves on them. They killed 2 American soldiers and a translator. You think it's not going to happen again? So literally, America is putting its own soldiers at risk.
Looked at me and went like this. Well,
Watch this.
We know what that means. The sign, this one they keep putting up. This was the old.
That's children. That's the ISIS children that are being released right now, running
One religion, one faith, one
with their
leader.
parents.
Symbol of unity and power. These boys are all behaving very threateningly. They were all saying, one day I hope to kill you. One day I want to slit your throat. They're all making very, very threatening gestures. So this is
Crazy.
the culture that they're being brought up in. For anyone who's a foreigner saying, we hope you're going to die, we're going to slaughter you one at a time. The worst kind of ISIS mentality, rhetoric. Is the culture.
Now, I know
There's a chance that some of them actually participated in executions. I don't know if you saw the
100%.
videos, but I've seen the videos where they take small children, 10, 11 years of old. They take prisoners. I'm speaking about ISIS, right? For people to understand what kind of people ISIS is. And they take prisoners, they tie their hands, and they release them in some sort of a maze that they need to hide. And then you have children that running after the prisoner. Each children have a prisoner, and they basically are competing who's gonna kill the prisoner first. This is kind of people that we are dealing with. This is what ISIS means.
Yeah, and then when you have an IDF soldier, an American soldier, and you have these children running at you with knives or pick up an RPG, you're forced to take him down. And then you have, oh, they killed children, but that was either kill that child or he would kill you and your entire crew. So either way, it serves the Muslim ISIS kind of nation because it helps demoralize the enemy because they spotted what they see as a weakness. What we see as a point of strength, which is our morality and our values and ethical codes, they see it as an easily exploited weakness in us, and that's why they do it. And yeah, you're saying
But
something.
yeah, by the way, on our Friday show, I didn't tell you yet, but we are hosting Itai Engel. This
Hmm.
name is very familiar to a lot of our Israeli followers, and he basically an Israeli who've been to all those places. He's a dear friend of the Kurds, and he's one of the reasons why I've seen so many ISIS videos, because what I describe now, it's a video that I've seen in my own eyes, right? Because I worked with Itai Engel for the longest time, and each time that he went and visited those places, because he interviewed, ISIS fighters that will tell you, yeah, I beheaded 20 people's head, but I made sure that the knife is dull, is not very sharp, to make them suffer more.
Yes,
So
religion of
on
peace.
Friday we're gonna have this talk with Itai.
Wow. For those of you who
Yeah.
don't know, guys, me and Khalifa were both Druze from Israel. I was in commander in the special forces. Khalifa was in the special forces as well in the IDF. We both studied he studied political science and other stuff. I studied history and psychology and kind of the politics and the religion behind it. We both have contacts and relatives all around the Middle East from the Druze, but we also have a lot of contacts in the Kurds and in the Muslims and in the Christian areas in the Middle East. We're getting reports from them all the time. And Khalifa was actually talking to one of the Kurdish leaders, and he
Of the
almost brought him on a
SDF.
podcast. Yeah. Tell us
We
about this.
because today is Tuesday and we usually do an Arabic show, and I was working on having one of the fighters of the SDF with us to speak in Arabic, as a form of solidarity, because we've all heard what happened in Aleppo. But he got occupied, and today we talked, and he said the net is not so stable, and there's way too much danger for him to participate in our show. But it's a very close thing, when you're not only covering things, but actually living with them, because this
Mm-hmm.
is one of the burdens of what we are doing. We have sleepless nights, we are dealing with things that might be interesting, but we are deeply involved in them as well, and a lot of people reaching out for us, talking, and want us to speak, instead of the people that doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
the means to speak themselves.
Yeah, and some of the people that we talk with, I know myself and you, we had them at times even presumed dead. I remember a few of my contacts. I was trying to reach them again, 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 and the last message I had from them is like they're here, they're outside my house or something like that. And then you lose touch with this person, and then for several days you think, okay, did one of the people that I just talked to for the last 2 weeks, maybe like countless of conversations, was he just murdered right now? Was he beheaded and tortured? Did they do something to his family? So, just like Khalifa said, we are very, very close to what is happening there, and we're trying to digest this information and bring you the easiest way to understand. Now, let's keep watching what this guy is saying here because it's very interesting. That is the children of ISIS, and that is the ISIS prisoners who have been released.
By the way, you can see in the upper left side, it says Al Hol camp in Syria. It's basically like a huge ghetto,
Hmm.
because a lot of the ISIS men, when imprisoned, and they didn't know what to do with the women, so they put them in some sort of a huge ghetto. It's mainly small children and women, but these are the materials of those ghettos. So you can play the video.
Exactly. And I'm going to read you a message that I just received from a guy, a Kurdish man. So I'm going to find the message.
To another part of the camp. All right, we're going to move to another area. All right.
Look, the children are trying to lynch him. The children. But that's because I told you, they're soldiers. They've been taught to be soldiers in this war. Let me read to you a message I just received today, maybe an hour ago, from a Kurdish man. I'm not going to say his name out of, hello, sir, my name is, I'm from an area in that region. I'm not going to say which area as well. I'm sending this message because of the heartbreaking war happening in Rojava. So here is the facts. Kurdish women and men in Rojava fought ISIS alongside the USA forces to defeat them and preventing them further violating and mass murdering. They even fought for Syrian Arabs, same one that betrayed them, the same one that betrayed the Druze at some point. Now, as you are aware, they're trying to force the Kurds in Syria to migrate and give up their mother language and culture and traditions. Apparently, my point is if you can raise awareness to people all around the world and show us there is still some humanity left in us all. There isn't just Sunni Muslims in Rojava, but Yazidis and Christians also. So it's a war against them all. And it's sad for me that they even need to say that because they kind of believe that they got betrayed so much that they're hoping that if they would know at least that there's also some Christians with us here, maybe they will choose to pay attention to us. But that's exactly what the Druze went as well. It's like, they felt like they're just been betrayed by humanity. Mainstream media doesn't talk about them. Politicians barely mention them, and they're just being left to bleed. And he added this: the Syrian forces are nothing more than coward terrorists whom disgusting themselves as Muslims liberators. There is even disturbing video where the coward terrorist beat helpless child whose only crime is being a Kurd. I've seen several of these videos, especially the one that they're choking. I think it was in your Telegram channel. That video, it was very hard for me to sleep after that. They're literally showing a video of one of these Syrian men choking a child and filming it and telling his parents, I'm going to send you this video, and if you don't pay me money, I'm going to kill him. And then the child basically faint, looks like he died, but then he, gets slapped and he wakes up and he hits him and the child is crying. Like, there is parents right now who is receiving these kind of videos by the Jolani soldiers and army, the same team that America, for some reason, is embracing right now, under the leadership of Tom Barak and the approval of Donald Trump. I think he's being played. So what he said also is this: the Syrian forces are nothing more than cowards. Okay. Thank you, and I hope this moves you. And you don't believe me? Search it for yourself and see, with all respect. And then I answered him, I believe you. And I know you are speaking the truth. Despite mainstream media narratives and government policies that seem to have abandoned you, there are many like me who can still distinguish between good and evil, right and wrong. And that's the people here on this show. And there's many of us around the world. Don't let our governments fool us. I will use my voice and my humble platform to raise awareness about what is happening. Please stay safe. You and your loved ones are in my prayers. And he answered, I'm so honored to hear that. Thank you very much. So me and Khalifa are constantly being in touch for the last maybe 2 years with our lost brothers and sisters from Syria, from the Middle East, and Druze and non-Druze, Christians, Muslims, Kurds, it doesn't matter. People who love peace, who love democracy, people who don't hate, people who are not anti-Semite. And we've been trying to be a voice for them. But as you can see, guys, it's very hard to do it when the engines of our society, government, and mainstream media, basically, and lots of money is being played here, is trying to silence that. But that's what they try to hide from you. And in this particular episode, I think it's just very important that you understand that these guys that we showed you in the beginning, take videos, guys, take pictures. These are ISIS fighters just released by the government of Syria from prisons, who were put there by the Americans and by the Kurds, and now they're being released by the government under the supervision of the American soldiers, and they will end up in your streets.
Well, I want to note something about that Tom Barak is Lebanese by birth. That's right. But another thing that is very important, that he is Christian. And what is very interesting, that the Islamists are so efficient in what they do, that they grow up a lot of people, like Christians, like Jews, that they are to the bone dhimmis, that they identify with their occupier, and you'll see a lot of sympathizers with the Palestinians and whatsoever from the Christian community. And just to put in numbers, 30 years ago, the number of Christians in Bethlehem, the place of the birth of Jesus Christ, was 60%, and now it's 20%. And yet still you'll have a lot of Christians from Bethlehem that will come and identify themselves as Palestinians and want to be part of the Palestinian resistance. Just to tell you how efficient the occupation mechanism of the Islamist.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh? Like, look at New York. I think the biggest number, percentage of voters from Hamdani, who is a Muslim Brotherhood mayor, undoubtedly, were white, liberal, former Christian women. Like, and this is even add few layers. You're Christian, you're not Arab, and you're a feminist, and then you choose to vote for someone who represents a religion that allows child marriage, a religion that supports this kind of behavior, a religion that is extremely violent and aggressive towards other, an authoritarian religion, like by every possible means. So if anything closer to fascism, that's that. And also a very misogynist religion. So that is how efficient it is. There is just something, I guess, disturbing in human nature that allows, mostly, I would say even more effectively, among Western women, that get them attracted to these kind of things.
Well, I mean,
it's crazy.
well, if I let's say met you in 2018, I'm gonna and I would tell you, listen, Mansour Abu Rafi, my friend, I'm gonna guess that in 8 years you will have a Muslim communist as a mayor of New York, and you would say, nah, come on, there's no chance for this to happen. How is New York, the capital business and capitalism city of the world, is led by a communist who voted for him?
A communist jihadist, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, New York have fallen. New York have lost. New York was invaded in 9/11, and it have lost this year. They had a few years of a good fight in them, but this year they've literally elected someone that represent the same religion that did that to them, and they boast about it. So that's how effective was the victory of Islam over New York. And I'm not just saying that, out of, this is like literally what Muslims are saying. So in their eyes, look how effective it was. We attacked them, And later on, by the way, the migration of Islam into New York was the highest, started basically peaking right after 9/11. Do you think that is coincidence? They attack a place and then they send all their people there. And now they managed to basically take it over. So if that doesn't ring an alarm to people in the West, then okay, guys, just to let you know, your children will not enjoy the same world that you did, especially if they're women, or if they're gay, or if they are atheists or liberal. They will not enjoy at all. They will have very, very bad nightmare coming their way, because this guy here who is boasting right now, you see this video about ripping papers from the Kurds, that how dare they give rights to women in Islam. This is Islam, there's no women's right, there's Islam. That is what's coming your way. That is what's coming your way. Wow.
By the way, I used to work in a startup company that was all the workers were Arabs. Basically, there used to be Muslims, Christians, and between once in a while we will have debates and things like that. And always there was one of the workers, a female worker, who like she's a decent Muslim woman, but a feminist in course. So every time that one of the debaters pro-Palestinian Muslim Brotherhood ideology, things like that, I would win the debate by saying, yes, true, but for you as a man, let's ask her what she thinks, if that's okay for her as a woman, and that's 50% of the community. And she would always say, yeah, well, I'm a sympathizer, but he's basically right, because as a woman you are enjoying lesser and lesser rights and freedoms, basic freedoms. uh, like the brainwashing is so severe in the Arab world. There are a lot of women in Gaza, in the West Bank, in I don't know where, in all those places in the world, that got convinced that their most important thing is to bring offsprings to be shaheeds. That means that a woman has a job to bring life to the world. All life came from women, basically, physically, and they brainwash them so much, yeah, that it goes against the motherhood instinct of caring for your offspring, of trying
Hmm.
to bring him to life. And then you'll have this phenomena of women celebrating the death of their own children
Hmm.
because they are shaheeds, which
It's
for
the
me is
only,
craziness.
yeah, it defies nature, man. It defies nature, or call it, God's intention for humans. It's the only religion that I've ever heard so many women say that they pray to bring more and more children so they can go and become suicide bombers, because that will make them happy. That's like literally the only religion that I've never heard a Christian woman say that. I've never heard a Druze woman say that. I've never heard a never heard a Jewish woman say that. I've never heard an atheist European or American or Western person say that. Like I've heard many Muslim women, not all, but I've heard many Muslim women say that. That we take pride, we bring our children, and my prayer is that they will grow and become shaheeds as well. So I'm gonna bring more and more. That is literally like, what kind of a, how can you fix a child that grew up into this, like an innocent poor child who grew up into a family like that? And that's the teaching that he's been learning since birth. How can you fix that? How can you have him assimilate to Western society after this is what he was doing since childhood? Like, this is brain damage at the highest level, and it's happening on steroids in places like Syria. And right now we saw what is happening. So
I always tell it in my lectures that we a lot of times we project our own notions, our own perceptions to the Gazans, to a lot of people in Syria, and I would say, uh, take Gaza for example. You have
Mhm.
50% of the people under the age of 30, which means like the two-thirds of people on, I don't know, two-thirds of like 600 or 700,000 kids living now in Gaza. The only reality they've been in is a reality where the Ministry of Education is a terror organization, that the place that plays with your mind and makes decisions that he puts in your mind about what is right and wrong is a terror organization that send people to bomb themselves in school buses.
Mhm.
Put that, let that sink in for a minute.
The role models, their schools are named after suicide bombers, their streets, their classrooms. They're growing up admiring, and they have pictures of that, Shaheed in the classroom. So they're growing up idolizing and admiring these characters as heroes. So what do you think is going to happen right after? I've seen some people asking on Instagram to remind them who is the guest today. So, guys, Khalifa is not a guest. Khalifa is a brother from
Yeah.
another mother. And Khalifa is a Druze like myself, born and raised in Israel in a nearby village like mine. They're a bit less successful village than mine, and called Dalit El Carmel. It's like the beautiful but not as beautiful sister of Asfia. And I just started a war. I just started a
Yeah, yeah.
regional war.
Well,
And he
you
is
know that
a shepherd.
eventually I'm gonna physically meet you, and I'm much more strong. Like I'm much
Yeah,
stronger than you
he is much stronger. Khalifa, if you guys watch The Simpsons and there's this redhead guy, the janitor, that's how Khalifa looks in real life. Like the moment he gets angry, what's his name? This guy from The Simpsons? Do you remember his name?
I don't know.
The
I know
redhead
another
angry,
reference.
rips his shirt. Like the guy is a shepherd. The guy is a sailor. He sails every morning, rowing, doing competitions, and just a legend. And he's also an expert in geopolitics of the Middle East, especially about the areas of the Druze, the Muslims, and the Christians, the Arabs in the Middle East. So, for those of you who don't know, that is Mr. Khalifa here. He's also a previous member of the special forces in the IDF and a very fascinating philosopher. I call him a philosopher because he's a thinker, and I really, really enjoyed meeting you last time when I went and you allowed me in your house, and he even took me to see his sheeps. Up until today, he once in a while send me very disturbing images of a delivery of
But you
sheeps.
like it. I know you like it. It's
I
twisted,
love it.
but yeah,
Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. It just tells me I had no one to share this beautiful moment with, but I just delivered the sheep, and his hands
yeah.
are full of blood. And I'm like, okay, good, good. Thank you. I'm just eating my breakfast. So yeah, that is me and Khalifa here, and we're gonna be trying to give you guys a better update because something big is cooking in Syria, very big, and is something that is not been shared by your governments and has not been shared by mainstream media. There's a lot of shady deals that are happening there from the American side that I think the American citizens should be aware. And I'm gonna finish this episode with this, guys. Take a picture of these images I put in the beginning of the episode. They're actually saying their names, and there's longer videos of that in the internet. They are literally emptying prisons full of ISIS terrorists from all around the world. Some of them have foreign passports. Some of them who had been arrested by the US forces and by their Kurdish allies and placed in jail. And many of their women, as you're seeing in this picture here, ISIS women have been released. To help you understand, ISIS women is just women that came from all over the region, not only in the Middle East, Iraq, and others, but also from Europe, from London, from the UK, from Canada, from the US, and many South America, many places. They went to join ISIS, and deliberately with the idea to become incubators for children, to bring children to the ISIS fighters and to serve them, make meals for them. And they basically converted to Islam, and they were jailed, and now they're being released, and there's a high likelihood that they will try to come back to their homes, their countries. And it is part of the plan. That was part of the plan of breaking down Syria and making it a humanitarian crisis, so they can have ISIS disguised among all these people and spread them.
أيها الشعب الكردي العظيم يا أحرار العالم هذا هو شعبكم.
Did I mute you?
No, you didn't
Oh.
mute me. It was just so
Oh.
loud. I know it's a streaming app. You can't add a video without a jumping full volume blasted. It's
Yeah.
a thing.
Sorry.
So this
But I
is what is
wanna-
happening, guys, in Syria right now, and it should concern every European, every American out there. They're free, and Europe and America is doing everything they can to hide this from their people. And not only that, they're also sending their ambassadors every second week to go and try to normalize relationship with ISIS and Al Qaeda. And now they have literally allowed ISIS and Al Qaeda to slaughter their allies. That is very concerning, and that is the Kurds. And we are here to speak on their behalf, and that is crazy, guys. And Khalifa, you had something to show here, so can you explain
Yeah.
to us?
Before I'm going to show the video, I must say, first of all, there must be some Kurds following us. So, Herbiji Kurds, Herbiji Rojava, we are with you, brothers, and we are talking to Kurd activists here in Israel. Maybe we're going to host some of them because there's a big demonstration in front of the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv and the Yarkon 71 in 5:30 p.m. tomorrow. Just to say that here in Israel, we are sympathizing with the Kurds, and we are doing whatever we can to try to put some pressure or ring the bell about what's happening. And I'm gonna end the show with this brave Sheikh, Druze Sheikh, that you probably showed some of his videos, Marwan Kiwan in Sweden, that once he's seen what's happening with the Kurds, he just put his arms and gave a beautiful speech to the Kurdish people. I translated to Hebrew for our Hebrew-speaking followers. Maybe gonna put some subtitles in English, but it's worth showing, I guess.
We'll translate it to you.
All right.
أيها الشعب الكردي العظيم يا أحرار العالم.
Can you listen? Well, can you hear something? I can't hear.
Yeah, we hear it. We hear it.
في غرب كردستان وينكل به في كل مكان احتله دواعش الجولاني وأردوغان وتميم قطر. أحيي تفكيككم لقوات قسد سوريا وتشكيل قوات روج عاب الكردستانية. فهيا اعلنوا النفيذ العام والتحقوا بالمقاومة الكردية. دافعوا عن أرضكم. هيا إلى القتال. هيا إلى القتال. دافعوا عن وجودكم. دافعوا عن تاريخكم. دافعوا عن مستقبلكم. فأنتم أبناء هذه الأرض. أنتم أبناء الشمس. أبناء الربيع. أبناء الحب. أبناء الحياة. ولستم مثلهم. قاتلوا قاتلوا. واطلبوا الموت توهب لكم حياة. والحياة وقفة عز. وكم انتصرتم في الباروز.
This is a William Wallace speech.
على هؤلاء البدو الجردان. ستنتصرون عليهم في كل مكان. قادمون.
Wow, man, this was a gladiator William Wallace speech.
Yeah,
there, guys.
yeah.
He's basically calling them, you are the children of the sun, the children of light. You are fighting darkness. You are the children of love. You are fighting for your land, for your nation, for your people. Do not be afraid. Be courageous. Stand your ground. Fight until the end. The life is on your side. And don't be afraid of these Bedouins who looks like rodents and rats. You are courageous. We are standing with you. Stay courageous. Like giving them like a beautiful, powerful speech to stand their ground and to be united and to not surrender. It's crazy how the minorities in Syria, mostly the Druze and the Kurds, I would say, are standing brave and strong, man. Standing brave and strong against impossible odds. Impossible odds. Trying to defend their dignity and their children. And the world is just ignoring. You know, with all due respect, what's happening in Iran is insane and it's terrible. But guys, what's happening in Syria is worse. I'm not joking. It's literally worse. It's been going for very long. And also, it has been basically received the blessing of America and Europe. So they're doing it under that like regulation and support from Turkey and Qatar freely. So crazy, crazy, man.
Yeah, and by the way, the Druze feel it in their bones that somehow they are next because, you know, now after breaking the thorn of the Kurds, the only stubborn backed force are the Druze, and the Druze are now in a dire straits. So they're coming next. If I had to guess, unfortunately, I'm not doing it with a smile on my face. But if I had to guess or to advise the Druze, I would say I don't know, put landmines, do everything just because to try and stop the attack, because probably the attack is
Get
coming.
ready. Get
Get
ready.
ready.
Get ready.
Yeah.
Get ready. Get your trenches. Get your equipment. Train your man. Train your woman. Get ready. It's coming. I think the only thing that stopped them last time from massacring the Druze was Israel, the IDF, Bibi Netanyahu, the Mossad, the Air Force, you know, especially for Israel. Israel stood beside them. It looks slowly and slowly that America is turning a bit further away from Israel and closer to Turkey and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and Syria and ISIS and Al Qaeda. So the next round, it might be very even harder for Israel to come and save the Druze. I hope not. I hope America will wake up because, sorry guys, there's no unity among the evil. There's no unity among the wicked. And if you start building alliance with the wicked, undoubtedly they will turn against you on the first chance that they can. And I think it's very, very important to remember who are your allies and who are the people who share the Western values of freedom, democracy, love, human rights, children's right, women's right, any right under the sun. And that is basically the minorities in Syria. That is not the majority, which is the Islamic Sunnah, the Al Qaeda and ISIS government of that country and their citizens. That's not them. It's not them. It's not Palestine. These are forces of evil, of darkness. Palestine is a terrorist state. Syria is a terrorist state. People don't like to hear it. That's your problem. Go and listen to some fluffy cat videos. But this is the truth, guys. That is what is happening there. And I really hope that, you know, America and Europe will be, I mean, they know it. They know it. It's not that they don't know it. Their Secret Service know it. Their advisors know it. Some of their leaders just have bad advisors. Very bad advisor whispering lies in their ears, and it's gonna come in their face.
By the
Anyway.
way, you know, the rumor says that the reason that the US is so pro Jolani is basically because of Gaza. They are saying, you know, we took a Muslim Brotherhood state and we kicked it out, and in return we are we are expelling them from Gaza and putting them to Syria. So all the jihadists and the terrorists will have, you know, a homeland base. But this, I don't know. It's so stupid, but it makes perfect sense, you know, compared to what we are seeing here. And the world doesn't make any sense. I don't know seriously why the US is favoring Turkey's policies and those on top of those of Israel, a state that supports Islam extremism, that nourishes ISIS and all those jihadis, Al Qaeda, in top of Israel's interests and people like the Kurds. So
It will blow in their face, man. It will blow up in their face sooner or later. And the more they wait, the more tragic and disastrous it will be. That's my opinion. So I think they really, hopefully, need to wake up. But anyway, guys, it's been an hour and 9 minutes, and we've been having steady view here of a lot of dedicated viewers. I want to remind you, if you haven't clicked the like, share, subscribe, mostly on my channel, on Khalifa's channel. He have his YouTube, I have my YouTube. It's different channels, and we do videos together. Khalifa also have his Telegram account and his Instagram account. Go and follow him. His name on Instagram is Khalifa.
no, it's Khalifa K427 or something like that. But I'm not very strong on Instagram. But
All right, yeah,
follow me on
Ainora
my
here. We don't have
Telegram channel.
Ainora here. Yeah, and follow his
Yeah.
Telegram channel. That is the most active one that he have there. Very, very big channel. And also,
It's
don't
called
forget
Khalifa Shrugged, by the way. Just Google it or whatever.
Khalifa Shrugged. I get a lot of my information from there. He have a whole team there of very involved member that do a lot of research and share a lot of interesting insights about what's happening in the Middle East. Also remind you guys, if you want to support the channel, go and check my Patreon. I believe Khalifa as well have a Patreon. I will try, if I won't forget, to put it in the title, in the description of the video. But if you want to help support the work that we're doing, you can go and find it there with direct financial support to what we're doing here, so we can keep doing this work for you and for the voiceless out there in the Middle East. We also want to grow this channel to be able to reach more and more people. We have our show on Friday, that is every Friday, a Hebrew show called Shishi Druzi, a Druze Friday. And we have usually on this day an Arabic show that we do in Arabic. And today we just came with an emergency broadcast about what's happening in the Kurds, because I feel like the Arabs, people in the Middle East, they know what's happening. And it's very important that we bring it to the attention of the English speakers and the Western people. So here you go. You've been notified what is happening. Stay tuned, guys. And in the next episode, we'll come and try to give you more of what we understand that is happening in the Middle East. Until next time, stay safe and don't do anything stupid. You have anything to say, Khalifa?
Just good night, everybody.
Amen
See you
to that.
later.